This is the Microschool Minute, your weekly dose of microschooling news and events.
In this week's edition of the Microschool Minute.
A highly anticipated legislative deal to reform Arizona's massive Empowerment Scholarship Account voucher program has completely collapsed. The breakdown occurred after Republican leadership shifted support to an alternative proposal that prioritized eliminating a union organizing ballot measure in exchange for dropping the ESA reform initiative. Consequently, the Arizona Education Association pulled out of the negotiations, leaving the state's controversial voucher program, which has surpassed $1.7 billion in spending since 2022, without new regulatory caps or oversight measures ahead of a key ballot deadline. The failure to reach a compromise means education advocates are moving forward with a public referendum aimed at introducing income caps, student testing, and stricter spending audits. This ongoing political battle directly impacts families using alternative schooling methods, as Arizona's ESAs are heavily utilized to fund private tuition, homeschooling materials, and customized tutoring. For alternative education providers, the lack of immediate legislative changes preserves current funding flexibility, but ensures that school choice remains a deeply polarizing focal point on the upcoming November ballot. The Tennessee Department of Education has dramatically expanded its contract with Student First Technologies, ramping up the total value to nearly $637 million over 5 years to manage its school voucher online portal. This exponential budget increase follows the legislature's decision to add 15,000 more students to the state's Education Freedom Scholarship program, bringing the total capacity to 35,000 participants for the 2026 to 27 school year. The software handles student applications and fund distribution, creating an administrative overhead cost estimated at approximately $3,640 per student, exclusive of actual private school tuition. The massive investment underscores a growing trend of states building robust digital infrastructures to support the rapidly expanding alternative education marketplace. However, the selection of the vendor has sparked intense scrutiny, as the same company was previously terminated by Arkansas and has faced operational hurdles processing applications in West Virginia. Despite these administrative controversies, the influx of funding and available slots signals a significant operational scale-up for Tennessee families seeking non-traditional and private schooling alternatives. A new state audit in Iowa has initiated a comprehensive analysis of the local education savings account (ESA) program to measure its operational and financial impacts. Designed to give families public funds for private school tuition and associated educational costs, the program commanded an estimated state appropriation of $329 million over the past fiscal year. The state-level review serves as a critical check on the rapid expansion of public funding being directed toward non-traditional education sectors. As state-funded school choice programs grow nationwide, audits like Iowa's are becoming a crucial trend for determining how alternative education systems alter state budgets. The findings are expected to influence future policy debates surrounding fiscal transparency, accountability requirements, and the sustainability of diverting public funds to private options. For operators of microschools and private academies, the scrutiny highlights an evolving regulatory climate where funding access is increasingly tied to strict governmental oversight. In a historic shift for California's educational governance, Governor Gavin Newsom and legislative leaders have officially finalized a budget deal to transfer control of the state's Department of Education to a gubernatorial appointee. Governor Newsom is aggressively pushing a landmark proposal to strip the state's elected superintendent of direct control over the California Department of Education. The plan aims to replace the superintendent's managerial authority with a newly appointed education commissioner who reports directly to the governor and the State Board of Education. While supporters argue this structural shift is necessary to fix a fragmented, inefficient system that routinely hinders the rollout of major educational investments, opponents like the California Teachers Association dismiss the strategy as an undemocratic power grab. Though primarily focused on public school governance, this bureaucratic restructuring could dramatically reshape the regulatory environment for alternative schooling models across the state. An appointed commissioner would centralize authority, potentially streamlining or restricting the administrative pathways utilized by independent learning programs and community-centered school models. The ongoing debate highlights a growing national tension between centralized gubernatorial control of education policy and traditional independent oversight. Florida is celebrating the 25th anniversary of its landmark Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program, a foundational pillar that has grown to serve over 540,000 students across the state. Originally launched in 2001 as a modest corporate tax credit initiative for low-income families, the program has since morphed into a massive, flexible education savings account, ESA, model. Today, it is administered by Step Up for Students, the largest nonprofit scholarship funding organization in the nation, which has managed more than 3 million scholarships since its inception. The evolution of Florida's program highlights a booming marketplace trend that is heavily fueling the rise of alternative schooling and microschools. Currently, more than 150,000 scholarship recipients are not enrolled full-time in traditional private or public institutions, opting instead to build customized, a la carte educations using approved tutors, digital materials, and individual service providers. This massive shift has created a vibrant commercial ecosystem of independent educational innovators designed specifically to cater to hyper-personalized learning preferences. In a major corporate consolidation within the educational sector, nonprofit testing giant ETS has announced its acquisition of ACT. The blockbuster deal combines two of the most prominent names in standardized testing and college readiness, instantly creating a massive organization that reaches an estimated 35 million people annually. The acquisition comes at a volatile time for the industry, as several elite universities are reversing pandemic-era policies and reinstating standardized test requirements, citing internal data that proves their utility in predicting student success. This consolidation is poised to exert a ripple effect on alternative schooling networks, including homeschooled students and microschool attendees who rely heavily on standardized assessments to validate their academic progress for college admissions. By integrating advanced technology and artificial intelligence into the ACT platform, ETS hopes to root out demographic biases and restore institutional trust in large-scale testing. As the admissions landscape shifts back toward quantitative benchmarks, alternative learners will face a more unified and technologically driven testing paradigm. Nearly 7,000 educators are gathering in Denver for the National Education Association's annual Representative Assembly to elect a new president and establish their upcoming policy agenda. The nation's largest teachers union is facing steady financial footing, but significant external pressure, as its net assets sit at roughly $317 million following historical court rulings that barred mandatory non-member representation fees. Delegates are preparing to navigate a highly charged landscape dominated by anti-union state legislation and a massive federal push for school choice. The convention's core focus centers on a full-court press by union affiliates to aggressively curtail state voucher programs and the impending rollout of a federal school choice initiative. Teachers' unions argue that these rapidly multiplying programs undermine the foundations of public education by diverting vital public funding to non-unionized alternative entities and private programs that operate under entirely different accountability standards. The outcomes of this convention will dictate the scale and intensity of organized labor's resistance to alternative school models nationwide. Saying, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed the Kids Internet and Digital Safety Act in a 267 to 117 vote, implementing strict new privacy protections for children and teenagers online. The legislation significantly updates the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act by extending digital safeguards to teenagers up to age 17 and completely banning targeted advertising aimed at minors. However, the bill has drawn sharp criticism from a coalition of youth safety organizations because it excludes a duty of care provision that would legally force tech companies to make their platforms safe by default. The passage of the KIDS Act carries profound operational implications for alternative schooling environments like microschools, which rely heavily on digital platforms, AI chatbots, and remote learning tools. While the bill provides a federal regulatory floor that shields student data from predatory advertising, the lack of a default duty of care mandate leaves the burden of vetting software safety on educators and parents. Nevertheless, the legislation expressly allows states to pass stricter local online safety laws, ensuring that digital educational compliance will remain highly fractured. This week's Microschool Showcase takes us to Humble, Texas, where Nurture Nest Academy has officially announced its grand opening, scheduled for August 2026. The newly established private microschool is designed to serve students from pre-K through 8th grade, offering small group environments, individualized academic support, and flexible, non-traditional learning pathways. Curriculum boundaries at the academy will emphasize key developmental and modern skill sets, placing a heavy localized focus on leadership, creativity, and critical thinking. The launch highlights the continuous, on-the-ground expansion of alternative schooling models funded directly by state choice initiatives. Nurture Nest Academy will operate as an officially approved Texas Freedom Accounts educational option, allowing local families to leverage state-backed funds to pay for personalized alternatives.
If you know of a microschool or organization that deserves a shout-out, drop a line and let us know. Thank you for tuning in to the Microschool Minute, your weekly review of microschooling news and events. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to support us, consider leaving a review. Until next week, happy microschooling.